Hi, I'm Laura Rolfe, host of Powered by Franchising and CEO of Mint Franchise Consultants. Recently, I had the opportunity to attend Five Star Franchising's Consultant Discovery Day in Salt Lake City. And I've met Colt Florence a couple of different occasions, but I'm excited to welcome Colt Florence to the show. He's Vice President of Five Star Franchising. Welcome to the show, Colt.
Thank you, Laura. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I always love visiting with the franchisors and meeting your development team in person. It really helps me understand the culture and the people behind the franchisor who will be supporting franchisees and painting that picture for franchisees as they take a look at the wealth of opportunities in franchising. So thanks for having me in Salt Lake City just a couple months ago.
100%. Yeah, no, we love to have you guys come out here. I think it's a great opportunity for you get to experience what each one of our franchisees gets to experience. So we were more than happy to welcome you in.
Well, and we had a little bit of fun too with dinner and Top Golf and all things Salt Lake City, great hospitality. But you've been in franchising for quite some time, Colt, and not too long ago made the leap over to Five Star Franchising. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your history in franchising and why you chose to join the Five Star Franchising team?
Yeah, great. So I've been in franchising now for about 9 years as a whole, and originally joined when a gentleman by the name of Ryan Comby reached out to me on LinkedIn. At the time, I was an outside salesperson for a company called A1 Casters and Equipment, and he said, "Hey, I think your skills and abilities in sales are fantastic. Why don't you come look at working in franchise development with me? I'm starting a company called Better Way Franchise Group." And so he and I went to lunch and we had conversations around what franchising is franchise development, and I had no idea at the time. And needless to say, decided to jump in with him, and he became my first mentor within the franchise space and taught me a lot of things, not only in terms of how some of the best franchise systems run, but then also how to work with candidates throughout the process to find what is going to be the best fit for them when it comes to purchasing and opening a franchise. And so from there, I ended up joining a team by the name of Authority Brands, and I was with Authority Brands for about 4.5 years, where I was director of franchise development, overseeing a couple of brands for them, and then actually served as one of their vice presidents of franchise development, overseeing 7 brands in their portfolio for a period of 4 years. And it was fantastic learning experience. Really found my passion and love for home service brands during that time period. And randomly one day had Five Star Franchising reach out to me and say, "Hey, we have this position open. We'd love for you to take a look at it." And honestly, from the get-go, I really wasn't taking it too serious, but through conversations that I had with Five Star Franchising, and when I really got to meet the leadership of the organization, I got to experience the values and the purpose that they have. A lot of it aligned with what I believe in a personal level. Our core purpose is empowering the success of our franchise partners, and that was something that I loved, and it's something that I believe in. And so through those conversations, I decided to join the Five Star Franchising team as their senior vice president of franchise development. And that was about 10 months ago, and it's been a great roller coaster ever since, working for a fantastic company.
Well, terrific. Yes, that was one of the things that inspired me when I attended that Discovery Day back in January. Just you had mission everywhere, and everybody that I met as who's part of your team also just exuded that energy of enthusiasm, passion, and mission for supporting their franchisees. So tell our listeners a little bit about DRIVE and what that acronym means to Five Star Franchising.
Yeah, Drive. It is to your point. If you ever come to our headquarters, you will see Drive on every single wall. But really, Drive are the core values that we live, whether it be you're a Five Star Franchising employee, whether it be you work for one of our franchisors, or whether it be you're a franchisee coming in and joining the Five Star family. We like to make sure that everybody believes in and they live the Drive values. So, Drive is an acronym that stands for we are driven in all things that we do. We are real in all conversations and situations that we face. We are innovative in all situations and problems that could come up. We are vital in the actions that we take on a daily basis, and we're enthusiastic with all things that we face in situations. And so we take a look at it and say we want to make sure every employee within Five Star Franchising that they're driven, they're real, innovative, vital, and enthusiastic. But then also, when you really sum it up, you need each one of those to be a successful business owner. So we take each franchisee that comes into our system, and we ensure that they live those values, and their employees within their locations can live those values. And so, a lot of companies, I think, just put it on a wall and forget about it. It is something that we put on a wall, and we live and breathe it, and we bleed it every single day, whether it be the smallest or the largest person in our organization. We truly believe in those drive values.
Yes, well, they came through loud and clear to me, and so wanted to share those values with our listeners today. You've got several different brands within the Five Star franchising group, and you have different franchisees within each of those models. Talk a little bit about some of the brands that Five Star Franchising represents.
Yeah, so if you were to take a look at Five Star Franchising, technically we have 9 different businesses within our portfolio. 6 of them are franchise systems, and 3 of them are franchisee support businesses. And so our 6 franchise systems that we own are called Bio One, Crime Scene and Hoarding Cleanup. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Our franchisees work with families and probably some of their most difficult times that they'll ever face, whether it be through a crime scene or a suicide or a hoard cleanup. We have Got You Covered, which is a window covering model. So blinds, installations, curtains, shades, drapes. Our franchisees go in and offer a white glove service and all things that they do with their end consumer. We have Five Star Bath Solutions, which is a bath renovation model. And so our franchisees go in and handle start to finish renovations for their customers within the bathroom area of their homes. We have Card My Yard, which is kind of a fun little model. I'm not sure if you've ever been driving down the road and you've seen the bubble letters in somebody's front yard that says like "Happy Birthday, John" or "Congrats, graduate."
So fun.
Oh yes, yeah, that's what our Card My Yard franchisees do is those signs in people's front yards. We then have Mosquito Shield, which is a mosquito abatement and repellent company, and then we have last but not least, 1-800 Packouts, which is a contents restoration company. So when a house floods, a property floods, or it has a fire, our company goes in and removes the contents of that property, stores, cleans it while the restoration is happening, and then we bring it back into the property. And so those are our 6 franchise companies. And then we have 3 franchisee support companies, which are ProNexus, which is a call and sales service company. So phone answering and sell service for our franchisees and other franchise systems in the space. We have Five Star Marketing Service, which is a local marketing support company for our franchisees. And then we have our Five Star Buying Group, which is the company that handles all direct negotiations with the vendors that our franchisees work with on a daily basis. And it's their job to ensure the best pricing and highest profitability from an expense standpoint for our franchisees.
Well, terrific. Well, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and had the opportunity to meet with one of your franchisees in Phoenix. She owns the entire east side of the valley, and she said when she met with Five Star Franchising and 1-800 Packouts, I think it's been about 2 years ago, her dad came to do the discovery day with her. She had a background in real estate. She never thought she'd be in restoration, but she learned more about the core values, the systems, the resources, ProNexus and that call center, all of the value system of the franchise. She and her dad immediately were like, this is the one for us. And she's built a huge business. She's great at leveraging resources and continues to scale. And I think she's outgrown her warehouse a couple of times. And then also when in Salt Lake City, we got to see the training center for Bio One and how you are training new franchisees to do that crime scene cleanup or hoarding cleanup. I won't elaborate on that. If any of our listeners are interested, they can chat with me further and meet with your team and see for themselves what the training facility looks like during a discovery day. So
Love it.
It's just, they're very, very fun brands. So I like that you have the ProNexus call center. So what does that mean to franchisees who might be a little nervous about generating sales and getting those people booked on their calendars? How do you guys help?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'd say the two hardest things about owning a business is going to be one, generating the leads, and then two, figuring out a system to be able to answer the phone when those leads are calling in, and also closing the deals once we're able to get those people on the phone. And so one of the things I've seen within the industry over the years is where a lot of franchisors go wrong is they try and handle that in-house. They'll say, hey, we're going to build out an in-house call center that all our franchisees have to use, or we have a marketing team that's going to handle all your marketing for you. And the reality is, a lot of times those franchisors, they're not experts when it comes to running a call center. They're not experts when it comes to running a marketing team. They're experts at supporting and training franchisees on how to run the specific business model that they just purchased into. And so Five Star Franchising took the unique approach of saying, why don't we split these out? Why don't we make them completely separate business models, treat them as a vendor, and then our franchisees can decide whether or not it's going to be beneficial to use them within their business through data and through performance rather than requirement. And so when we take a look at ProNexus and Five Star Marketing Services, they are truly vendors to each franchisee that we have that are designed to, one, ProNexus. Anytime you have somebody calling in, that you're going to have a trained professional on the other side located within the United States answering the phone and having educated conversations with your customers. And so it is their job to answer the phone, and it is their job to follow up with customers for the sole purpose of doing everything they can to set up a consultation for our franchisees, or even in some cases closing the deal altogether, specifically like for Mosquito Shield. And so you'll miss every single deal where you don't answer the phone. And so ProNexus' job is to make sure we are there, we are answering the phone, and we're having great conversations with the customers as you are then working with your employees, trying to run the business and ensuring you're not missing opportunities. And then Five Star Marketing Service, it is their job to make sure that that phone rings. And so they are doing everything that they can to take the spend that you feel comfortable with within your local market, optimize it, and ensure that that money is working for you when it comes from not only a brand awareness standpoint, but a lead generation standpoint. And so when done correctly, these two business models work really well together, because one is going to be generating the leads and getting people to call into your business, and the other is going to be answering the phone and doing what they can to either set up consultations or close deals for you. And at the end of the day, both of those are things we've seen every franchisee struggle with, whether it be one or the other or both. And so we wanted to offer a unique way to where our franchisees can handle that within their business without being required to use it, especially when it comes to having it in-house or us trying to build it out in-house. They're two separate businesses that specialize, and that's all they focus on a daily basis.
Well, I've got to attest that your marketing team is super clever. I loved watching some of the videos that your team did specifically for Mosquito Shield. So just, the fun, what does the family look like at the backyard barbecue? And you don't really want those pesky mosquitoes flying into your barbecue or messing with your kids jumping on the trampoline or swimming in the pool. So your marketing team is top notch for sure.
Thank you for that. I agree. They do a fantastic job when it comes to content creation, when it comes to overall strategy of supporting our franchisees, and they live and breathe empowering our franchise partner success, and they do it through being best in class when it comes to marketing service for sure.
So if anybody is listening and interested in home service brands, which is by far the number one industry that I present to candidates because of its growth, for anybody listening, what are some ideal qualities that your franchisees possess to make them best in class in their respective franchise system?
Yeah, great question. So I'd say first and foremost, anybody who comes into the home service space, if you are able to have great conversations with your customers and get them to be raving fans of your business, it makes it that much easier to grow the business through referrals and that much easier to grow a business through reputation. And when we look at it from a home service standpoint, reputation and referrals are everything. And so what we look for, especially with a lot of our business models, is somebody going to be able to come in and offer that great experience for their customer. If they're in somebody's home, giving them a quote on window coverings, if there's in somebody's home doing a bath renovation, or whether it be they're in somebody's backyard, giving them a quote on overall mosquito repellent and abatement. Can you offer that best in class experience that'll get that customer not only raving about you and your business, but also want to send every single friend or family member over? And so in the home service space, a lot of times, and the biggest question we get is like, what's the differentiating factor that you have? What has got you covered do differently than other blinds and window shade companies out there? The reality is we all do something pretty similar. We all offer blinds, we all install them, we could all do bath renovations. However, the experience that we offer to the end consumer is why we are top of class and top of industry almost every single time. And so when we look for our franchise candidates, we really want to see, are you going to be passionate about offering that best in class service to the end consumer that you're working with? And if the answer is yes, you are going to do very well within this business. You'll be able to dominate within the local space. If the answer is no, we might want to reconsider this. And so as we look, people come to us in very different phases of life, different backgrounds, different industries. The number one key indicator that tells us whether or not they have a high probability of success is how passionate are they going to be of offering great experiences and great products to the end consumer.
Great input and advice. And yes, you definitely want to have a passion for your business, a drive, and be able to interact well and play with others. I like to say.
Right, exactly.
Of the brands, and we were hearing a lot of talk, and I get a lot of people who want to keep their W-2 job. They're tied by the golden handcuffs of a safety net of a regular paycheck and the benefits. But I talk to clients a lot often that nobody's going to love your business more than you. And so I encourage people when they're to keep an open mind about being all in as an owner operator. What is your preference on the different brands with five-star franchising on the business ownership model? Are you looking for empire builders, owner operators, or can somebody be semi-absentee in any of these business models?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'd say we're looking for all the above. However, it's going to be very dependent on the situation that that person is in. And so I'm going to quote one of the industry leaders. His name is Ron Bender. He's no longer with us anymore, but Ron always offered very valuable insights in all things that he did. One of the things that he really brought in was saying we offer earned absentee models. And an earned absentee is either you generate enough cash flow and profitability within your business to where you could step out and really work on the business and grow it and hire other people to handle the responsibilities, or you have enough income coming in from another source to where you could use that income to then bring in people, hire them, handle those responsibilities. And so I think what a lot of people don't realize is the difficulty that it takes to run a business, especially where you're trying to take a hands-off approach, and whether it be difficulty of finding the right people that are going to care about growing that business, or whether it be difficulty of finding enough cash to be able to cover the expenses associated with being hands-off. And so we really like to have transparent conversations with people of if that is the approach you're wanting to take, earned absentee. Let's take a look at your income and make sure you could be able to support the financial requirements of growing this business appropriately. Or let's take a look at how quickly you can ramp up within the business to be able to support yourself financially and be in a position to where you're covering all personal expenses, business expenses, and now can grow the business. So I guess a long way of answering, we're great with anything, just as long as we're setting the correct expectations up front and our franchisees fully understand the path that they are taking and the difficulties associated with it, but then also the end results and the fruits of their labors that they're pushing towards.
Sounds like sound advice from Ron Bender how involved are you going to be? How much money do you have for that ramp up? And that continues to resonate with five-star franchising today. For our listeners out there they're on the fence, they don't really know, can I really take a chance and step into franchise ownership and entrepreneurship? They're nervous. What advice might you give them, Colt?
Yeah. First, I'd say you should be. Business ownership is difficult, and that's okay, right? It's okay for us to do difficult things within our lives, especially if the outcome is something that is going to make our life substantially better. And so the advice that I'd give, and I always love to give a comparison between entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. People like to think if I'm going to be a business owner, I got to be an entrepreneur. And I disagree with that. It's actually within the franchise model, we look for what we call entrepreneurs, people who are willing to come in, follow our systems, take advice, learn from others, and be able to build a successful model based off of the past track record that we have. and really be able to provide I'd say financial freedom for themselves. And so the advice that I always give to somebody is, one, if you're nervous, good. That's the first feeling you should have when taking a look at business ownership. And the second thing is, don't be nervous, because you've already proven throughout your entire career of working within corporate America that you can follow models, you could follow trainings, you can make those businesses and models better through the contributions that you are giving. This is the same exact thing, except you have substantially more to gain on the outcome of your actions on a daily basis. And so take the leap. 100% take the leap. It's going to be no different than the difficulties you're facing today, as long as you follow the business model and the advice given to you.
I love that analogy because I never thought of it that way, where if I'm working for somebody else, and I work for somebody else for until I became a franchise consultant 5 years ago, I'm following somebody else's systems if I am an employee of another business. And so if I'm a good employee, and I was always recognized by my growth and promotions and pay raises, then I have proven that I am good at following systems and also can be a little innovative in my approach, as long as I stick within the guardrails of those businesses that I've worked for. So that's very translatable to franchise business ownership or entrepreneurship. That's a new word for me as well,
Yeah.
to translate to growth. So yeah, take Colt's advice. Take the leap.
100%. I love the comparison I always use is that movie, The Founder, about the gentleman who founded McDonald's.
Yes.
And, the first couple of franchises that they awarded, he awarded it to his friends who were already entrepreneurs. They had started their own businesses. They were very successful, and they failed miserably at owning a McDonald's because they brought it in. They tried to make way too many changes. They were offering fried chicken because some of their customers said they wanted it. And then once he actually started finding people who were in corporate America, had proven they followed systems and models extremely well, that they had made the businesses they work for better by proving out and following those models. Once he started bringing them as franchisees, not only were those people dominating within their local community, but then also McDonald's grew substantially. And so we look for the same exact thing. And a lot of people always fear, well, I can't do this. And it's no, actually, you have a track record of showing you're very good at it. You're very good at following those models, making them better. Now just do it where you have a lot more to gain on the backside of being a franchise owner.
Very smart advice. I like it. Well, in five-star franchising, you're on the Franchise 5,000 list. Many of your brands are, and you continue to grow and be thought leaders in the franchise arena. Where do you see your future growth coming from as five-star franchising?
Yeah, I think as we continue to look at to grow as a company, first and foremost, it's going to be how can we continue to better support our existing franchisees and help them grow their revenue within their local community and their local businesses. And so we're constantly focused on what can we do to help them be more successful, or how can we offer them more support, tools, trainings, resources. But then also we're going to grow through acquisitions. We want to, in a future state, if anybody needs some form of service done within their home, that they're going to be reaching out to a five-star franchising company to do it. And so we're looking constantly at bringing in new companies that complement our existing companies. And from a future state standpoint, having our franchisees working together within their local areas to service the same customer who's going to have the needs for the services that we have. And so, long way of saying, number one is always going to be how can we continually increase the revenue of our existing franchisees and help them be more successful. But then also we're going to be constantly looking at bringing in more business models that complement the existing ones we have.
Excellent. Well, I love hearing stories of successful entrepreneurs who may have started off a little shaky, and they've got their feet grounded and have just launched and soared. Can you give us an example of one of your franchisees, of how they entered the system and how they've just kind of taken off and soared?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a perfect example is actually the gala in Arizona that you were able to meet with. 1-800 Packouts in the contents restoration space. Historically, people have believed that either you have to have a lot of connections within the restoration or the plumbing industry to be able to be successful within this. We have Rachel came into the space as someone who historically was in real estate and said, you know what, I want to try this, and then quickly dominated. And I believe, if I remember right, she won the rookie of the year within our system. And so she stepped in regardless of not having the background, regardless of not having the connections that historically people believed were necessary to be within this successful within this business model. She stepped in and did it and built a very successful business and has now grown that business substantially over the past couple of years. And so I think one of the biggest fears that most people have when they step into the business is always saying, I don't have the right experience. I've never installed a blind, or I've never worked with a subcontractor to renovate a bathroom, or I wouldn't even know the first thing about mixing chemicals when it comes to mosquitoes. That is all things you can learn. The number one key indicator as to whether or not you're going to be successful is just, are you willing to work and overcome the challenges and obstacles? And I could almost all but guarantee you'll find success within your business if you answer yes to that. And so I love these stories because we see them every single day. And it's, I spend my job every single day of helping people fully understand that if they're willing to put in the work, that we have the training and tools and resources and support to help them. And so we see them constantly, but it's just believe in yourself, believe in the talents and abilities that you have, and be willing to work hard for the success of your business.
Yeah, and we're never going to be 100% like all in at the beginning. It's like you said earlier in the show, that fear is very normal. And if you don't have a little bit of trepidation before making a big decision and taking a leap to invest in yourself, then you might take a look and see, why are you looking at business ownership? But if you're 85% sure that yes, you can build a big business with the right franchisor support and the right business, then go all in and go big. My philosophy is go big or go home.
100%. Yeah, yeah, if you're going to be in halfway, don't do it. I mean, this won't be a game and a life-changing situation for you if that's the approach you take. But I can't remember who said it, but one of my favorite quotes is, fear is the first indicator that you're about to do something great. And so it's when you're feeling that, it is a great feeling to have, and you shouldn't shy away from it. And that should be the first indicator that you're on the verge of doing something that is going to be life-changing for you.
Yes. So any other life-changing stories that you want to share with our listeners today?
Well, I have countless, so I could go on all day long. If I take a look at it for all the different business models that we have, here's another perfect one. I'd say over the past couple of months, Got You Covered franchising has been growing substantially. And we recently awarded a franchise in Northern California to a gal by the name of Sabrina Carpenter, who is fantastic. I'm so excited for what she is doing. She comes from a background of being within pharmaceutical sales and is absolutely dominating her first couple of months in it. Because of that, she has a friend and a past colleague who lives in Southern California that she reached out to and said, hey, you need to do this. I know you've been looking for something that is going to be life-changing. So far up to this point, it has. I believe you have the right skills and abilities to be able to do it. And so we actually just awarded another franchise by the name of a gentleman by the name of Doug, who we're so excited for. And so I think not only do we have the stories of people who are launching their businesses and changing their lives for the better, but also we have the stories of people who are saying, because I care about you, I think you should do this as well. I think this is going to be something that is going to change your life and make it substantially better as well. And that's always an indicator for me that we're doing something right at 5-Star Franchising, when our franchisees are coming to us and saying, talk to this person. They need this life-changing experience that I had. And we go out and that person ends up becoming your franchisee. And so I could go on all day about the success stories that we have, but that's another one that comes top of mind for me specifically, knowing that even so early on in the business, we're having people saying and going to their friends and family saying, do this. It'll be changing. It'll be life-changing. And I because I love you, because I care about you, I believe you should be a franchisee within this business model, which I think tells or says enough about not only what we run, but how we support our franchisees.
There's no greater testimonial than a referral from a happy franchisee to a personal friend to become the next happy franchisee. I made a placement with a different brand 2 weeks ago, and within 24 hours, he sent me 2 of his friends that says, you need to talk to Laura and learn more about franchising in your market. I think you'd be terrific at it. So love those testimonials, and I love to hear your testimonials, Colt. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners today about five-star franchising or any other pieces of advice if somebody's interested in business ownership?
Yeah, I'd say final piece is the franchising world is massive. And there's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of franchisors. A lot of them are really good options. However, if you are somebody that is really taking a look at doing this and you're taking it serious, I can't say this enough of finding somebody like Laura to help you throughout the process will be not only a game changer today, but also a game changer in your decision making a month from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so if it is something that you're really looking at and you're trying to navigate the waters, bring in a professional who has worked with the different concepts. They've seen the success behind it. Not only will it'll lead you to a much better path from day one of the ones that are going to be a good fit, whether or not you feel like they are today, but also I think it leads you to a much better path 5 years, 10 years down the road of knowing you picked a brand that was perfectly fit for your background, your personality, and I can honestly say there's not many better than Laura in the industry. And so if you are watching it and you are on the verge of trying to make that decision, set up a call, have the conversation. No one is better to have those conversations with you and get you started on the right path, especially in a world as large as ours.
Thank you, Colt. I appreciate that. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. And thanks again for hosting several of us franchise consultants in Salt Lake City earlier this year. I look forward to working with your team at Five Star Franchising to guide our listeners to business ownership with one of your terrific brands. Again, we've got Gotcha Covered. We've got Card My Yard, which just looks so fun. I have several people, once it's available for mass release, interested in that one. Mosquito Shield, Bio One, and Five Star Bath Solutions. So thanks again for joining the Powered by Franchising podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I love not only the relationship we have, but also love to hop on and talk about five-star franchising. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, we'll be chatting soon, I know. Thanks, Colt.
Thanks, Laura.